Hello, GMR Podcasters. This is Sarah Tracy of Just Saying Page. I post really awesome, clever quotes, witty jokes, thoughts provoked on the daily. So check me out, justsayingpage.com. And we're on Twitter. Look me up. Thank you.
Who is John? That's a question that quite a few people already know the answer to. And now it's time for you to find out who is John. Go to whoisjohn.com. That's WHOISZHON. And you can watch the entire 20-episode series for free. It's the story of Jean, an alien, or is he, who crash-landed on Earth many, many years ago, who has now turned himself in to the authorities and claims he'll answer all of their questions. Or will he? Check it out. Whoisjohn.com. WHOISZHON.com.
You can hear my show on Stitcher. Stitcher is radio on demand. Download the free app today. Listen anytime, anywhere.
Stitcher is an award-winning free app that lets you listen to all your favorite shows, plus discover from 20,000 news, entertainment, and sports shows. Create custom playlists. Rate and review the GMR Podcast on Stitcher. Available on iOS, Android, Nook, and iPad. And over 4 million car dashboards.
On demand and on the go. No downloading, no thinking, no wasted memory. Dream your favorite podcast. Don't have Stitcher? Download it free today at Stitcher.com or in the App Store.
GMR. You're listening to the GMR Podcast. Well, next time I see him, I'll ask him. I'll say, Dan, are you on Facebook?
I was going to say, show him, send him a link to all our fucking podcast. Now look at this half-ass shit, dude. Why bother to put a cork in there if the cork is going to pop out anyway? That is dildos.
Just for show.
That is dildos.
No, you get what you pay for.
No, it's not cheap, my friend.
No, really, so you expect it better.
Oh, you certainly did.
Well, that's our review of beverages for the week.
This is what Hunter S. Thompson drank, right? Certainly is.
Yeah.
You want some?
No.
He doesn't want any.
I gotta be designated.
Oh, yeah. Let me make the noise.
Shit, my fridge or whatever it is makes a louder popping sound than that sometimes. More of a... But even I can't get the high caliber register. But not that high. It's somewhere like that. Somewhere like that. It's GMR Podcast show 101. It's going to be hard to keep track of these numbers now.
I think we can do it.
101, yes. Wow. Wow.
Wow. So once again, we Ray's in the other room.
Yeah, Ray's just I almost said off camera. We're all off camera. Ray's just off microphone. No, that doesn't make sense either.
He's doing something else right now.
That's right.
Not sure what, but whatever it is, you can bet he's putting his 100% into it. Whatever it is. He might be sorting posters. I don't know. I'd like to think he's over that, but he had, 800 posters?
He did have a lot of posters to go through.
800 posters.
He might be getting close to being done with that. And he said at one point that he thought Brady had been on more shows than he had. And yet, Brady kind of stopped about the same time as Ray, so keeping the numbers even.
Yeah. He'll be on in episode 103, I imagine, in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, well,
he doesn't have anything to do on December 19th?
Isn't that...
Oh, they're closed this month.
No, they're closed all month?
Yeah. Well, closed for us anyway. Because they're open on Fridays this month.
Ah.
So, on December 20th, for those of you who watch AccessTucson.org, Saturday at 6 o'clock, December 20th, 2014, tune in for our holiday special.
Well, he better figure that out because he's obligated to work Dan Harrigan's show and the Bunny show.
Maybe that's on that has to be on the Friday because they're closed Saturday.
Yeah, but maybe they're like you and they're just like, oh, we're not doing it this month. We'll just if we can't go live, fuck it, I'm not going to do it if I can't do it live.
Yeah, I don't know if they turn in something special. I think they just show the same show that they did last month instead.
Is that what you're doing, or do you have a special?
We have a special.
Oh, that's right.
It's once again the new show's holiday special, but augment it with Gene getting socks from Frank from the night before, and
a little bit of context.
Yeah. We cut all the dull and irrelevant parts out, and what you're left with is about a 20-minute chunk, which is pretty good. 20 minutes out of about 5 hours of footage. It's really distilled down. Well, the thing's been shown almost every holiday season for 20 years, so...
It's a tradition.
Yeah.
People probably expect it at this point.
At this point, 20 minutes is all that should be left of it, so... We have that. We have the classic stupid show skit of abducting Santa. And that Max Waxy show from Christmas that happened right after the new show holiday special. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, like usual, well, this time there'll be an explanation. On December 20th, 2014 at 6 o'clock, go to AccessTucson.org and stream the channel live. And you'll get to see the show we did 20 years ago.
We should put a link on there to that.
Yeah, I should tweet that out.
On our Twitter, yeah. That'll be pretty good. Was that 20 years ago?
Yeah, that was 1994. We reviewed the footage a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Frank giving you socks and all that. I know I keep dwelling on that one part. It's the through line, because the next day I'm wearing those socks. Spoiler alert. 101 podcasts, wow. I was listening to the 100th show, and it really seems like the 99th show had the energy we were hoping for the 100th. The 100th was just like, oh, another podcast.
It's like being 15 again. Woo!
Woo! That's usually a sound that indicates the show's over. The year's almost over, which means it's only a couple more weeks until the 2-year anniversary of the GMR Podcast.
Yeah, November, whatever.
It'll be January 2nd. Yeah.
That'll be our 104th show, so yeah, that's 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And Robert's show, RG's Movie Collector's Music Show, the longest title ever.
You mean Rob and Gene's Music Collector Show?
Yeah, that's what it stands for.
That's really what it stands for.
That's on Wednesday nights at 2 a.m., or you can watch them anytime at AccessTucson.org. You might even be able to stream that special I was talking about. You might not even have to wait for that day, actually. He's about to hit his 500th episode.
Wow.
He's been going strong since September 96 as his own program. A lot of them have been repeats, but they still count as episodes.
How?
Because that's another thing I have to keep, so I put another number on it.
Do you change it up a little bit?
Oh, yeah, recycle. Right now, his show is like if it's not something new, it's like a shuffle of 15 minutes of footage from 1998, followed by 15 minutes of 2000 footage, followed by half hour of 2006 footage. So you get all eras of Robert in 1 hour. Keeps it from being boring.
Cool.
More palatable. But yeah, his 500th episode. I just finished the edit last night, but that'll be on around April.
April. That's something to look forward to.
See, what had happened was, Robert's original show won 150 shows. Then he moved. Then we changed the name of the show to Robert Gonzalez, in which he hated.
That was the name?
Yeah, he hated
Robert
that
Gonzalez.
name. I figured people would know what they were watching.
What
the
year was
hardcore
that,
fans. Dude? 02, 03.
I must not have had any cable because I don't remember the Robert Gonzalez show.
It was just called Robert Gonzalez. Just straight up. And he was that was the worst name ever for a show. And I managed to run it like that for about 80 episodes. And those were just cut up repeats of his classic stuff. But I started a new number count on those. And then we changed the name of the show to, he wanted to call it Movie Collector's Music Show again. I'm like, you can't call it that. That was the name of the show that you put on. And I'm putting this on as an import show for you now because you live in Chicago. You have to call it something else. Well, call it RG's Movie Collector's Music Show. A title he promptly forgot, and for years he'd be like, what the fuck is the name of my show? That's fucking stupid. I'm sitting here going, Robert, that is what you told me to call it. And that's been the name of his show for about 12 years now. Robert Gonzalez's, or RG's, Movie Collector's Music Show.
Not Rob and Gene.
Rob and Gene. You should tell him, that's what I thought that's what it always meant.
All these years, though, you were like
I might not be on it much, or even have my name in the credits,
dude.
but it's there. It's there.
Because where would he be?
That's right.
Without me. I mean, if you factor in those shows he was on when he was...
You were the in-between. Because he's really kind of a spin-off of the news show, but he did branch off onto Random Access first. That's where he first did his own solo movie riffing. I mean, I think occasionally he would sit there and watch Scooby with us, but he's probably thinking, I'm going to watch Star Wars. But didn't we do Star Wars first? We showed all 3 of them, right?
Yeah,
and Kevin
sure we did.
Mutilated the colors and shit, but I don't know if we talked over them. I think we just watched them. Ate out of a gigantic bag of popcorn. A bag of popcorn that was as big as me.
We'd have to check the logs to figure that out. Whether we talked over them or not.
But yeah, Robert Show, 500 episodes. Basically, I added up all the different series together and ended up at around 425, and we've just been adding from there. So we never got to celebrate episode 200, 300, or 400, but I feel like 500 encompasses all of that shit.
Have you made a special opening or anything for it?
Yeah. What he wanted was a montage of clips from all 500 episodes.
Well, that'd be the whole show, wouldn't it?
That would have taken so fucking long to do. It was like, no, I'm just going to make a nice little best of.
You just take 5 minutes of each one from 5 minutes in.
Just like a clip.
500.
Well, that's a lot of. I'd probably kill a disk drive putting in and taking out that many discs in a row.
That would be, yeah. How many would you have to cut that down to for? Was it a 1 hour show?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm not going to do the fucking math right now, so. But you folks at home, you figure it out, and then send us a Twitter.
Now, if you add up original footage of Robert shows, how many would it be? Oh, probably close to 200. So about 300 of them have been repeats, but still. So it would take about 4 years worth of watching before you went back to the first episode of Robert's show again.
What the fuck are we talking about Robert's show again?
Because he's going to hit 500 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
We just hit 100. So.
Now, we did that in 2 years. How many years did it take him to get to 500?
19 years
All
almost.
right, there you go. If we do this for 19 years, we'll have blown his... Well, we're already on a great start. You know what? Robert doesn't have a podcast. Now, here's where I go off on Robert. No, I'll chill out. Otherwise, you're going to cut all this out.
Because he listens. He's one of those
Does
3
he?
listeners. Well, we'll find out one day if that's...
How would we find out?
He tells us.
Oh, okay.
And he quotes all the episodes so we know he really heard it.
I thought maybe I would say something that might piss him off, and then he'd be like, hey, fuck Gene.
Oh, we've been down that road before.
Have we? And what do we do with that?
Yeah, life goes on. This is all that footage of, Robert still in that mode of, man, I was so desperate to do TV, I went to Gene Mott's show. And then things like that, And I'm cutting that out of the new runs, because I'm just like, oh, God, Robert.
Well, if it weren't, like I said, if it weren't for me, maybe he wouldn't have even started doing TV again. I pissed him off enough. Who else? He didn't want to fucking sign up and sign papers and do all that shit. And
he needed the whole hour to himself.
He could have had a whole hour to himself. I had three hours.
Well, he wanted it all,
No, he didn't really express that to me. That's what I'm saying. So now that we're getting real about it.
That's what it seemed like to me. Well, I mean, he never said that, but when you look at his first few shows, and it's just like, oh, this is 100% pure Robert by Robert. All I ever did was edit it together, but it's just, wow. When he was on your show, he's sitting there talking over the Star Wars movie, right? He wasn't going out and saying, here's something I shot, and play it. I guess it hadn't gotten to that point. Maybe it would have. I don't know. Robert's not here. We'd have to ask him all this shit. What his real reasons for all that was.
I would have gladly let him do a full hour.
It was Johnny Mangelli's fault.
It's mostly Mangelli's fault, if you think about it. Well, it's only been, 20... Not quite 20 years. 16 years, 17 years.
If it hadn't happened that way, you wouldn't have 500 episodes of Robert's show.
Yeah, now he's got that in the bank. Nobody can take that away from him. So it all worked out somehow.
No.
And we might not be sitting here right now.
Exactly.
At 4:50 in the afternoon. It's pretty warm outside.
Yeah, you wouldn't know for December.
The rained pretty good yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do yesterday? Did you stay home?
Pretty much, yeah.
Watch a little bit of Too Close for Comfort?
Yep.
Cool. That's what all the cool people are doing. That's what I hear, man.
That season 5 started up and the intro's different. Kind of weirded me out.
That's what's happening. That's what the kids are into. I tell you what, Monroe. Oh, that's this guy. The more I watch the show, the more I appreciate the talent involved. What do you think?
Well, there's got to be some reason we're watching it.
There's got to be some reason the show was on for 5 years, right? It's, what, 6 years?
Yeah, and still on.
It'll never... It's just like MASH. It's always on somewhere. I think it's MASH as the example.
Yeah, MASH really is always on somewhere.
And our podcast is always on somewhere. On the GMR network.
It's there. I don't know if anybody's listening to it, but it's always there.
You don't think right at this moment somebody's listening to our podcast?
I'd like to think that, but the numbers do speak otherwise. So.
Yeah, that's not kayfabe.
No, I'm keeping it real. Sorry.
So,
oh wow, we got some time to kill still.
Back to the Future. The hoverboards.
Yeah, where's my hoverboard?
So we got time to kill. Well, let's talk about something else then. Something really interesting.
Like 101 podcasts.
That's what we just did.
Yeah, I went off on a tangent about Robert, though.
Okay.
I know there's so many episodes we did that I have no memory of. I couldn't stand here and say, and then on episode 3 we talked about I have no idea.
Steve-O's van.
Oh, see, I know all the Steve-O's van saga, all the early shit.
Well, that's probably episode 3. Steve-O's getting a van. We're going to go on tour. My band's going on tour. Don't ask me how that tour worked out, because I don't want to talk about it.
All that positive mental attitude.
Yeah, see how far that got you. I got me a fucking podcast.
100 shows, you know.
Yeah, you put up with me for almost 2 years coming over every week. A couple vacations, I guess. There was a couple weeks off.
Yeah.
Did you getting dug with high? You hear that guy fucking, what's his name? One dude, he asked this dude, who would you most, if you want to get stoned with a wrestler, who would you get high with? And he said Ric Flair. Remember this?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
It was the live one. The latest live one. Oh, I thought you were totally caught up on all that stuff.
I'm about 2 weeks behind on that.
But Ric Flair made a crossover into the Doug Benson world.
It all seems to, you listen to enough podcasts that they're all going to cross over into each other at some point.
I'd love to see Ric Flair on Getting Dug with High. That'd be amazing.
It'd probably happen.
I don't know.
If Kevin Smith ended up on Talk is Jericho, anything can happen. And then Bobcats on the Roddy Piper.
If you look at the list of Talk is Jericho, his guests, it's like...
That's true.
I keep seeing like 10 or... I know at least 8 of these people Marty would like to hear this podcast just because the guy who's on it. Podcasts.
And the first podcast I ever listened to, I don't think I've ever talked about this on here.
I don't think I've ever asked you.
It's not even on iTunes. It's called the Misty Cast. It's these people talking about MST.
Oh, yeah.
They're real... I mean, they like some of the ones I do, but they seem to really like the sci-fi era a lot more. So it kind of drives me nuts as I listen to it, because I'm just like, oh, they're so biased towards that shit, the ones I don't like, but I always listen to it anyways.
Are they younger?
Yeah.
So...
that's one of the things I read is, if you're old, when you saw the show, you like Joel. If you were a kid, when you saw the show, you like Mike. But that was the show that got me into... first thinking like, damn, I wish I would have thought of this idea first, But then I realized that's all the podcast is, Then I discovered all the Smodcast stuff. And speaking of things that I've never heard anybody talk about, there was this one aspect you brought up last week that I completely glazed over. So there was a time period where you were a skater.
Who, me?
Yeah, you said you weren't. You said you guys weren't good or anything,
yeah,
but in the early '80s, you were.
I had the big plastic skateboard.
Wow.
Never had a wooden one, and we used to try and we'd go over to the high school, There were
and this is
things
Lords
like
of Dogtown time period. Crazy.
I'd say 1980, 1981.
Wow.
82, maybe.
I was listening back to that, and I was like, what? I don't think I've ever heard that story before. See 100 podcasts, and there's still new pieces of information that come to light. Did you ever see that movie, Lords of Dogtown?
No.
About all those skateboarders around that time period when that scene started to become all big?
Not at all.
It's pretty interesting.
I just thought it was It was cool because it was a skateboard.
Mm-hmm. And it was like old school skateboard still, right?
Like plastic.
Yeah, dangerous.
You know, I used to, I would go roller skating at the skating rink. And it's just a natural extension of that, I think. But I sucked at both things. I couldn't, you know, I didn't excel at anything. It wasn't like I was doing tricks on either one.
More focused on the video game.
But then again, I never hurt myself. So
Yeah.
maybe that was it. I was always worried I was going to hurt myself. So I guess I've been a pussy most of my life. I guess that's what I'm saying.
GMR.
I watched Brubaker
Oh, wow.
last night.
That was one of the first movies I ever had recorded on VHS.
That's a good movie. What do you think?
Yeah, oh yeah, classic.
Robert Redford.
1981. A pay cable staple back in the day.
Goes undercover. Goes undercover as a prisoner in a prison that he's supposed to help reform.
That was back when you put 3 movies on one tape.
And then at the end, he barely makes any noticeable difference because the guy he's being escorted out, but the guy who's replacing him is like, oh, I'm going to do all the same shit that we used to do.
Well, that's...
But then they're all like clapping. They're just like, yeah, something, right? That kind of wasn't an asshole to us.
No, the 70s, it always ended bleakly.
No, 1980s, so really.
81, you're still kind of living in the 70s at that point. But it was always the hero gets killed or doesn't fucking succeed or...
Which you never get in movies these days.
Yeah,
that's what watching that movie made me think. These days, they wouldn't make a movie where there wasn't some sort of everything works out.
Yeah.
In some way. Just
test audiences didn't
barely made a difference. You know what I mean? Barely made a difference. Maybe they're not going to kill people and put them bury them in this field like for no apparent reason. Prisoners that they've accidentally killed or whatever.
Whoops.
Well, you know, that's how it was back in the day. You just beat the shit out of people.
GMR. 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 GMR.